Today, first class for elementary school teachers, reading the syllabus. This has everything else that we need, including the textbook, which there isn't one, the website to where we're going to get the textbook, and the homework, and everything else that we're going to be dealing with. The actual letter grade. You have both, right?
Yeah.
One from this morning.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right.
If you did not get one from this morning, who else needs one from this morning? There. So go from 9:30 to 10:45. But again, the two classes, the 8:30 and this class, are linked. So if you are dropped from one, you're dropped from both. Okay. So that means you got to be here at 8:30. Now, is there a reason why you might miss the 8:30 and show it? Is it still okay to come to the night? Yeah, absolutely. Life happens. It's all about communication. So we'll talk about attendance when we get to page 2. This is kind of useless because I'm never in the office. When people call that number and you leave a message, first of all, they don't even identify themselves. Hi, this is Bill. Well, I don't know what Bill you're talking about because you don't give me your last name. You don't even tell me what class you're in. So I don't know who I'm talking to or who's leaving this message. And then the phone number, 553-7. All cuts out. So text or email, just email. It's the quickest way, easiest way for me to respond. There's the email. And that's my Outlook account. And the easiest way for me to get back to you is don't respond through Canvas. Because when it comes through Canvas, I want to maintain privacy. And I don't want, again, as I said this morning, accidentally hit any reply all. I know what you guys like. I send you emails through Canvas because I'm sending the entire class something. So you want to hit a reply to me because there it is. So you're emailing me through Canvas because it's accessible and quick. And then I hit a reply all and it goes out to everyone. I don't want that to happen. So just email me from your student account to my Outlook account. That way I can separate it out and keep all the Math 10 emails nice and collect for you. Okay. The textbook is Mathematics for Elementary and Middle School Teachers by Sibella Beckman, 6th edition. And that's the textbook, but you don't need a physical copy of the textbook. You don't need to love something around. Everything you're going to do is on their website. The textbook, the e-text is on their website. The homework that you're going to do is on their website. There are going to be some quizzes in class, but there might be some quizzes that I post on their website. There might even be a test or two that I post on their website. It's not gonna be on your computer. It's all stored on their website. So it's not something you have to worry about in terms of homework where I turned in my homework. Well, it got lost. No, the homework's on the website. Well, how much did you do? When I'm grading homework and I'm looking at this person actually worked everything out, every single problem's there. And this person, it looks like everything's there, but I would need to be Sherlock Holmes to decipher everything that they have to make sure it's there. Or is it just gibberish? So they make it look like homework, but it really isn't. And they're not of equal value. Well, on the website, it counts whether it's right or wrong, and everything is going to be weighed a little bit differently in terms of did you actually do it? Now, is it possible to get away with something? Yeah, but you're not going to learn it. The nice thing about using their website or using that textbook, if you get stuck, and I'll walk you through it, you can ask for help. Okay, it'll show me how to do this problem. It'll walk you through the problem and then give you ones you have to do on your own. Or show me an example of this problem. It'll walk you through the example, and then you got to go do that one on your own. Sometimes it's a video. Show you a video how it might be taught by somebody else. Sometimes that helps. Okay. So I really like the Pearson MyLab approach because it's all there. And if you complete 100% of the homework, well, you get 100%. But this way, if you complete 85%, you're not going to get scaled down to somebody who gets 100. Okay, you did 85, but they really didn't get 100. If that person really did 70% because it looked like 100, but they really only did 70, they'll get the 70. You're going to get whatever you got. Okay. When we get there, we'll communication and office hours. I have office hours Monday through Friday, right before my 8:30 classes. So from 7:30 to 8:20. And then on Tuesday, after my noon class, my 12 o'clock class, which was 10B, from 1:30 to 2:20. I have a 12 o'clock that goes to 1:15. The best way to get a hold of me is when you send me an email, tell me who it is and what class you're in. But again, got to know who it is. All right, dates. The last day to drop the full term class and get a refund, get your money back, is next Friday. Next Friday. And then the last day to add or drop a class to avoid a W is Friday the 28th. So 3-week mark is the last day to add a class or the last day to drop the class and avoid a withdrawal, avoid a W on your transcript. Any clarification about what that means? Because there's another day to drop a class. Everybody good about the W idea? Yes. So W means withdrawal. So if you drop by the 28th, you were never here. That's not going to be on your transcript whatsoever. If you drop by the 21st, you get your money back and you were never here. But if you wait till the 28th, at least it's not going to be on your transcript. Because you can only take a class 3 times and you can appeal to take it a 4th time. If you don't pass it on the 4th attempt, you can no longer take it in the State Center Community College District. You would have to go to West Hills, Merced, COS, or some other district in California. So that's what the W is. And that would be the last day of drop would be the 9th. So the midway, the 9th week of school is when you would drop if you are just, again, life happens if you decide I'm not gonna be able to finish the semester. I would rather drop than get an F. Or whatever. I just can't, I'm not gonna be able to go back. So if you don't drop, it's gonna be a grade if you don't drop by the 9th. If you do drop, it would be a W on a report card. Now, do they mean the same thing? Technically, I guess, yeah, but I think a W looks better than F. Than W means you're going to go back and finish it. F means you just got an F in it. I'm not going to go back. They don't go away on transcripts. It's always going to be there. Okay, even if you take the class over, then the first attempt would have a W in bracket, and then your next attempt would have whatever grade you got A in it the next time. If you have A in it, that's your final grade. But the W or the F is not going to affect your GPA, but it's going to be there on your transcript because it was part of your academic journey. So I guess. Okay. So the last day to drop a class is October. Sorry, everybody, but Labor Day and Veterans Day, you don't get those off. Not here. The 2 days off that we have in class on Monday, Wednesday doesn't affect us Tuesday and Thursday. Now, Labor Day is a Monday, should really not affect us. So back in class on Tuesday. Veterans Day is on a Wednesday, so that's right in the middle of our Tuesday, Thursday. You're adults. I cannot control what you're going to do or not do. If we test on Tuesday and you leave to go somewhere early on Tuesday and we're doing something, I'll handle that when we get to testing, because what happens with this? I start getting ahead of myself. Like when my wife and I are talking about something, and I start bringing up something from 8 weeks ago. Then I start talking about the future. Then I started talking about what happened when we first dated. And then I'll wait till you get out. Let me know. Wake me up when you get back to today. Never will. You do get Thanksgiving, which is the 26th. Okay, and then Friday. And then our final is Thursday. December 10th. Finals at 9. Now, technically there is no final in the COREX or in the support class. During the week of finals week, we do not meet for those 8:30 class because there's no final in it. I'll still be here if you need help for any of my classes. And one of the things about the support class is on the day of our test in this class, we'll always be reviewing, asking test questions, whatever you have, whatever you want, what we need. But the final, for any final, if it starts somewhere in the middle of an hour, it always reverts back to the top of the hour. So if the final starts, if your class starts at 9:15, your final is going to start at 9. We start at 9:30, our final starts at 9. If our class started at 9:59, it's going to revert back to 9 o'clock. Okay. So we go from 9 to 10, hour and 50 minutes. Course description, course design for prospective elementary school pupils. It will study problem-solving strategies, skills, number sequences, set theory, ancient numeration systems, number theory, rational and irrational numbers, computation algorithm, application of mathematics. Emphasis is on comprehension and analysis of mathematical concepts and application of logical reasoning. Ancient. I just watched, just for fun over the weekend, a TED Talk on mathematics. female math teacher from Australia, and she brought up something that I've always thought about, but I actually didn't put it in these words. In the course of our civilization, cultures from all over the world fought like hell for dominance. But they always had something keeping them apart. Language, culture, cultures clashed, languages clashed, beliefs clashed. And they're always trying to get one on top, one better than the other. But the one thing that always seemed to come up, that was the same throughout all these different cultures. And it happened in every culture across our globe. Yeah. Math sprung up independently in all these different cultures all over the world. The concept of addition, the concept of counting, with all different types of numbers, from natural numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 0. Not everybody had 0 right away. Decimals and fractions, negative numbers, adding and subtracting, multiplying, all of that came up independently. From Asia to Africa to Europe to South America, no matter what. Concept of mathematics. So that was one thing that I realized. Why do we worry about teaching ancient numeration systems? Because that's what's spawned, the basic ideas within our species. Sometimes you got to get students to start thinking about it. You have rock clay that you're going to mold. You got to get them wondering. So it comes from somewhere. It's not just about giving them cold hard facts. Now, that language right there is a little outdated because we teach a class called Math 103. Math 103 is basically intermediate algebra or algebra 2 equivalent. But that's why we have the support class, because if you struggle with algebra 2 concepts, the support class helps with that. But it's going to help with a lot. Required supplies. A TI 83 or 84 graphing calculator, or at least a scientific calculator. So this is the only scientific calculator I have available, in case you accidentally get one. The little solar. I remember when they first came out, that's not the solar ones. We had one you plug into the wall, and it would heat up if you let it on. Then the solars came out around about 1979. Yeah. So scientific or an 83 or 84. I will work on the board with an 84. So everything I show you is going to be on this one or demonstrate. If you don't have one, you don't have to buy one. You can get them in the, you can check one out in the library for the semester. But supplies are limited. You just need an ID number. And I'll work it, help you learn how to use this. This one is not as good as the ones you'll check out. This is a really old version that's been around since 2007 when I first started. If you have a different calculator than the Texas Instruments, you're going to be responsible for learning how to use it on your own. But start teaching calculus when I taught high school. They had Hewlett Packard calculators for the students because one of their parents was an engineer or something. They had programmed the Hewlett Packard calculator to turn the TV on in the classroom. because it had an infrared emitter. So it could send a signal like a remote control. Okay. There are early versions of their calculators, they would program it to play Donkey Kong or whatever. They had all those video games that could download it. Then when they started realizing I better pay attention to what's going on in class, we put them on. If they didn't, if I saw they were putting in, using the calculator with both thumbs, then I realized they're not doing that because this is not how they're going to use the calculator. So I would just go in and just delete everything in the calculator. So when cell phones first started coming around, you start taking away cell phones and parents have to come pick it up. Now it's just hard. It's too many people have it. But when it first started coming around, I would say, okay, if you're going to use your cell phone class, I'm going to come through and I'm going to delete everybody in your contact. But now it's all in the same class, like no big deal. Go ahead. I dare. Here's the deal about cell phones. Cell phones, tablets, any internet device are not allowed for use as a calculator. Has to be an actual calculator. Okay? Sharing calculators during exams is prohibited. Make sure you have own a limited number of calculators are in the library. First come, first serve. Any questions? All right. Student learning outcomes upon completion. Apply a variety of strategies to solve multi-step problems, including making a table, chart or list, drawing pictures. Picture. We've got crayons. You got to realize drawing a picture is one of my pet peeves for teaching math. I would have a blood vessel. This one's labeled Billy right here. That would just burst, right? Because I'm telling you, trig students, draw a frequent picture. Because we're doing triangles. And they wouldn't drop the picture of the triangle because they didn't know which one was the hypotenuse, but they wouldn't drop the picture. And they're just putting numbers and the ones with equations, and they don't know which one goes where. I'm going, draw a picture. And it was that easy. So I started saying, if you don't draw the picture, you lose 10 points automatically. And so we're not going to get it right anyway. So therapy. I can't afford real therapy, so you guys. Drawing picture, making a model, modeling the problem, using patterns, working backwards, guessing and checking, and comparing with previous experience. Apply mathematical principles and techniques to solve problems in different number bases. Apply the concepts of greatest common factor, least common multiple to perform operations on rational numbers. And then you have a whole bunch of course objectives. So, tell you what, I'm going to read the prime ones. So which one should I start with? If I was going to read the odd ones, which number would I start with? 1. If I'm going to read the even ones, what should I start with? 2. If I'm going to read the prime ones, what should I start with? Maybe the definition. Prime number. All numbers that are prime are greater than 1 and divisible by only 1 in itself. Every prime number is greater than 1 and only divisible by 1 in itself. 1, 3, 5, 7. No, you're missing. First of all, you got one wrong and you're missing. You said 1, 3, so we got the 3. Missing 2. They got one wrong. And I just gave you the answer. What? One is wrong because
it's not fair.
Exactly. Prime numbers are greater than 1 and only divisible by 1 in itself. Math, again, that language, every little piece of that definition matters. Divisible by 1 in itself, that means, well, 1 and 1 and 1, and, well, that's really not prime. Sure, 1 times 1, well, how many? So you take it out of the definition. So the first prime number is 2. And then 3. 4 is not prime because 1 times 4 and 2 times 2. 2 ways to do it. And then 5. And then 6. Well, 6 is 1 times 6 and 2 times 3. So 6 is prime. Okay. So 2, and then 3, and then 5, and then 7. Number 2, analyze the structure and properties of whole, rational, and real numbers. Define the concept of real and of rational and irrational numbers, including their decimal representation, and illustrate the use of number line representation. So this is where you take a little step into the world of Charlie Brown's classroom. Wah, 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 wah. That's fine. That's okay. I didn't start reading math until I had to start teaching. I didn't realize I'm supposed to be learning this as a language until I had to start teaching and understanding that if I had learned it as a language, I wouldn't be lost every time I step into a classroom. If you don't know vocabulary when you step into a Spanish classroom or a German classroom or a French classroom or even an English classroom, a second language classroom, you don't know the vocabulary, you're going to be wrong. Because you're going to be hearing what's talking about, not talking about. Analyze. So we're going to think about it. We're going to pull it apart and examine the structure and properties. What makes it? What is it about? Of whole, rational, and real number system. Whole numbers. Whole numbers are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Rational. The key word on rational is ratio. Ratio means fractions. So the rational numbers are just the fraction. 1/3, 2/5, 17/27, 9/3. Well, 9/3 is 3, but it's still a fraction. Real numbers. Real numbers are all the numbers you've ever used. Negatives, positive, radicals, everything. Define the concept of rational and irrational numbers. Square root, square root 2. Pi is an irrational number, including their decimal representation. Pi, 3.14159, but it goes on forever. Square root 2, 1.141, and then it goes on forever. The number E, 2.71828, but it goes on forever. Those decimal representation. The golden ratio, 1.728182, and it goes on forever. It's been around forever. And illustrate the use of the number line representation. How all the numbers fit on them. That's all. It's not frightening, it's just words. Number 3, perform calculations of place value system. Multiplying tens together, hundreds, tenths, thousandths. Okay, place values. Number 5, develop activities implementing curriculum standards. So learning how to use a curriculum and based, activities to go along with it. Apply algorithms. What's an algorithm? Anybody know the word algorithm? You know? That you're saying you do, or
That's what phones have. That it's like a code.
yeah,
It's like a formula.
Exactly. How do you know? Why do they keep sending you? Why do I keep getting notifications about what's going on in the MCU and the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Because I keep clicking on things that involve the Marvel Cinematic Universe, so they read the algorithm about what I'm interested in, and they know to send me more stuff. It's an algorithm. It's a kind of like a recipe that we for going on. A program. From number theory to determine divisibility and a variety of settings. All of that can blow your brain as you sit there. I don't know what this means. You just got to break it down and not run scared just because it's up. You are capable of so much more than you. You may hate math like nobody's. I go to a party. That's the first thing somebody I meet for the first time. Hey, what do you do for a living? Team. Like I've learned to be very cautious. Oh, what do you teach? Math. I hate math. You know, I had this math teacher in high school, and I just started. Geometry teacher was horrible, and algebra teacher was horrible, and I just started. Okay, well, now I'm starting to go. Just walk away because I know. And I should start telling stories about. Yeah, I know certain students are horrible, aren't they? But your table is so much more. Attitude changes so many things. I don't like using the word favorite, but one of my will always be one of my I guess I'm going to use one. One of my favorite students of all time was 2018. When we were allowed to teach arithmetic. She graduated from college, I believe, in 1972 with a degree in, I think her degree was in communication. And she had worked forever for Pacific Bell down in Los Angeles, and she was retired. And she was sitting there retired going, I don't know what to do with myself. And Fresno State I don't even know if they're still doing it, but they were offering $5 a semester for senior citizens who wanted to go back and get a master's degree. $5 a semester for all classes. So $5 one semester. And she knew that it would make her mom so proud if she went back and got her master's degree in something. But she knew she was going to take math. She hated it. Never was any good at it. Completely defeated, but she was going to start at arithmetic. She finished with trigonometry. And she goes, I now believe that I can do all this. Then COVID. I haven't heard back from her since. But she knew she could do it. And she said it was all about attitude. And I said, you know what? You work your tail off. The people in this room, one thing I didn't know is it kind of went away after COVID. They stopped working with each other. There's no connection between students anymore. Finding study groups that work with each other, meeting after class, trying to figure things out. I hope you guys find a way to start making some kind of connection, because that also is a way to build relationships. If you are going into teaching, you're going to do the people lean on a Friday afternoon, whatever party looks like. Okay, yeah, we'll have. Okay, so homework is to be completed on Pearson of my lab. And when I show you how to work it, this is the course ID to get to my class. Esquivel, my last name ends in an L, so that's not a 1. And then 98571. So I'll show you that, walk through that. It's due, homework is due at 9:30 on the day of the test. So when we start a unit, I'll put up all the homework for the unit so you can work on it, at your own pace, or you need to wait until I teach it, whatever, still work on it, whatever. But you have until the day of the test to get it all done. And then whatever you have accomplished by that time, that's the grade you're going to get. Homework's going to reinforce what we teach in class. It's also what I'm gonna write the test out. So I write my own test. Most important tool that can be used for the test, their completion of each assignment is vital. I reserve the right to change the due date of homework assignments if deemed necessary. And late homework will not be accepted. When I change the dates, I usually move it back because we may not have finished everything. The only time I would move it up ahead is if I see that everybody's waiting until the night before and then cramming all the homework in. Then I might space it out and say, all right, let's get the first two sections done within 2 weeks. And then the next two sections done within the next week. But we won't need to go there unless it's necessary. Late homework is not accepted. Whatever you have done by the date of the test, that's what you're going to get the grade for. Again, 100% is done, you've got 100%. You got 93%, you get a 90. Quizzes. A quiz may be given each class meeting. Quiz will be given after we've gone over previous assignment and we'll cover previous material. Quizzes will always be announced. There's not going to be any surprise quizzes. Some quizzes may be given as a take-home assignment here. Here's a quiz, bring it back the next day. I can put a quiz up on Pearson. So quiz is going up. It'll be due by sometime that night or maybe sometime by the next day. If you're absent, you can't make it up. If you're absent, it's a 0. I'll drop you 2 lowest quiz scores at the end of the semester. Okay, it's not workable if you miss quizzes and then you expect, okay, when are we going to get this quiz made? And I'm still waiting to get everybody's quiz back. Because if I give the quizzes back and you haven't taken the quiz, it's not fair to the people who were here. So it's a 0. So looking at how the numbers work, let's say we had 5 quizzes. And somebody who's here gets 100% on each one. So 100%. And then somebody who misses 2 of the quizzes, they got 100% on the first 3, and then they got 0s. So at the end of the semester, this person has 500 out of 500 quiz points, so they have 100% average. Now I dropped the 2 quizzes, so their quiz average is still 300 out of 300, so they still have 100% quiz average. So dropping their lowest 2 quizzes doesn't really help. But look at this person. Right now, throughout the semester, they have 300 out of 500. So before the semester ends, they're looking at 60%. But when the semester is over, they have 300 out of 300. Their quiz average jumps up to 100% as a quiz average compared to this person. Doesn't seem fair, but I'm trying to make sure that you don't stress out about the snow. It's going to happen. You might have a bad day and have a bad quiz. There's going to be quizzes with bonus points on them. So this person has more chances to get bonus points than over 100%. But there's no makeups, there's no recaps. I'm still going to get emails saying, when can I make it up? Can I come in tomorrow? The answer is going to be no. And the reason why is because I want to be able to tell you no until you know, not go, no, but yeah, okay. And you're going to say, well, why did you say yes to her? That's not fair. But I just say no to everyone. And then tests. There's a minimum of 4 tests and a comprehensive final during the course of the semester. Show your work on your test because partial credit, maybe you don't have the right answer, but the work is there. I know here's why you made a mistake. So maybe you get 5 out of 10, 5 out of 6, maybe you get 4 out of 6, whatever, how many points you got. But each test is weighted the same. They're all going to end up to be 100%. The final is worth 100%. The final weighs the same as a single test. Final's not optional. Everybody takes the final. If you miss a test, you cannot make it up. No makeups on tests, no retakes on tests. It's a 0 or it's a bad grade. However, the final can count twice. If you miss test and you get an 80% of the final, that 0 on the test becomes an 8. If you have a bad test day and you got a 32% on the test, and then you get 8% on the final, the 32 is now an 8. So there's a safety net. Instead of, I can't give the test back because I'm still waiting for 2 people to come in and make up the test. I can give the test back as soon as I want. Any questions about that? One thing I really care for, one thing I really ask you when you're taking the test is be on time. If you're late, I take out 10 points because it's kind of a disruption. Pencil only, that's the only time I really care which you're going to use for a test. And finish on time. Because I've got another class coming in, so I expect you to finish on time, otherwise you will fail. Grade scale, 64% are exams, 18% are quizzes, 18% is homework. And then the breakdown for grade. Attendance is mandatory to succeed. Can't be here, then you're going to miss the information. But then there's the backup with the YouTube. So again, I record every class. I'll send you an email with a link to the class video. And if you miss something, you can always watch it. You can, if you're absent from class, you can always watch what we did that day. It is not a substitution for being here. Okay, you miss 6 times, you will be dropped. Now, here's the deal. Communication is important. Communicating to me means I know not to drop you just in case you're on the borderline and it's the 9th week. You're at 5 absences and you get that 6th absence in that 9th week, but you say, you know what, don't drop me. Something happened. And then I will drop. But communication matters. And again, when you're absent, you don't need to tell me why. You're just going to communicate to me and say, I'm not going to be there. You don't need a doctor's note. A doctor's note might come in if you miss, the class 12 times. But if you miss the class 12 times, I don't expect you to have a passing grade. Academic dishonesty, if you are caught cheating or plagiarizing, what it says immediate dismissal, that means from the class that day, you can't make up the work, it's a 0. And if it's a quiz, it will not be dropped at the end of the semester. It's going to count and stay that way. If it's a test, it won't be replaced by the final. It's going to stay on. There's one time I had a student, and it was way in the back, and you can tell when a student is cheating because they're always looking up here at me. Their eyes are always looking up to see if I'm looking at them. Laptop was open on his lap. And he's using AI to do the work during the test. It wasn't hard to see him. So it is what it was. If you have a verified, and then again, cell phones, make sure they're off and put away. And if you have the emergencies, things like that, take it outside. There's no problem. You're welcome to drink water, use the restroom. Just do what you got to do whenever you get to it. If you have a verified need for an academic accommodation for materials and alternate media, Braille, large print, electronic text for the American Disability Act, the Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act, please let me know as soon as possible. Usually the DSPNS office, if we've already done it with them, they will contact me. But make sure that that group is closed. When I hear from them, I will also email you and let you know that I've gotten the notice. And I know. Any questions? This is my 37th year of teaching. So, I've done this quite a few times for many, many classes. So it's all starting to run together. How many times I've actually done the open field. I'm going to take roll and then we'll get to Pearson. Okay, Angelica, Joe Thompson, Roxanne, Cassie,
Here.
Angelina, Jasmine, Yvonne, Anahi, Olga, Leonore. Is it Leonore just little? No. Leslie, Ariana,
Here.
Aiden, here. Autumn, Yannette, Jocelyn, Ava, Kelsey, Kimberly, Fernanda, and Stephanie. Anybody not be called? Okay. This one, Pearson. So how many have a Pearson account already? Okay. If you already have a Pearson account, use that same registration ID. You don't need to do so. If you don't have a Pearson account, you're going to need to create one. So sign in with your Pearson student account or create an account. Okay. So I'm going to put, the nice thing is I put this on your it's in the, I'm just going to go right here to here's the Canvas page. Okay. There's my class schedule. The yellow is office hours, so there's one down here on Tuesdays. And then over here is the syllabus. And if you actually click on the syllabus, and you click on this right here, you don't have to type in that whole thing. You just download. I'll copy it, but this is my middle name. So sign in. Takes you to this page. Now, it needs to be Mathematics for Elementary and Middle School Teachers by Sibylla Beckman, 6th edition. You have multiple venues in order to purchase this. You can purchase this through Pearson itself, which is this website. Oh, one more. This website. Student Store, you can buy the access code, which is more expensive than this website. If you find it online, don't buy a used one because somebody already used the access code. You won't get in. But you might be able to find it for cheaper. I know for Amazon, people have found it cheap. Okay. Look what they put up here versus here. This is 24 months of the class. Now, this is the same textbook that we use for 10B. So if you're taking 10B next semester, maybe that is a better price if instead of paying this twice. Unless you're doing it somewhere else, Tim. This is good for only one class, one 18-week class. So if you pass 10A, that one's gone. And then 10B, you'd have to do, if you're doing here with me, you'd have to do this one again. But if you did this, you'd have 24 months, and that is only 75. We've got to figure out what's best for you. Okay? But you do either one of those. And then here is the course 10A. There's the access code number right here, Esquivel 98571. Okay, ends on December 11th. Any questions? Now, I really need you to get into this and set it up because we need to have access to start the homework sooner for better. This is what it's going to look like when you get there. There's my three math courses, math and A right there. Here's the homepage, or at least my homepage looks like. And the only place you're going to go is assignment. And right there's practice. Homework practice is your first assignment. It's due next week. 8/18, so next Tuesday at 9:30. And all it is getting familiar with how to use Pearson. Some questions require you to choose single correct answers from a list of possible answers. Part 1 of 2. Which face is smiling? Was it this one? Is it that one? Maybe. I don't know. It doesn't look like that one. Well, that one was confused. I think it's this one. I don't know. I can't see it very well. So maybe if I make it bigger. Yeah, so you can make it bigger. You can learn how. You start learning how to use all the tools of those. So I'm going to click on this one. Click on that one. Next. Oops, I didn't finish it all. If you leave this question, any changes you make before selecting submit will be blocked. Got it? Show that again. Return to the question. Because there's a part 2. Check answer. So it's going to tell me, excellent, I got it right. So then I said, did you notice questions like the one above prompt you to choose the correct answer? So it's taking you through how to use Pearson. You're going to ask for a new problem. Okay. Which is the same problem because it's hard, kind of difficult. This one wants to smiling one again, which is the same. And then check answer. Gives you a nice pat on the back, you got it right. And then I'm going to click next for the next question. And then, which of the following mathematical statements are true? So 1 plus 1 equals 2. Well, that's true. So I'm going to click on that. 1 plus 2 equals 2. No. 1 times 2 equals 2. I'm going to click on that one. 2 minus 2 is 1. No. 1 times 1 equals what? I'm going to click on E. So there's 3 answers. But watch what happens if I get it wrong. That one. And I just accidentally click on B instead of C. And then I go to check answer. That's incorrect. So they tell me why I got it wrong. They're going to give me an explanation. Okay. So there are all those answers, and I'm going to fix it. That one, and that one. And then check it again. Good job. Good. And then move on. So there's only 11 problems. And it's just how to use this. Okay. You never have to worry about hitting submit. All you got to do is hit save. It saves where you were. And you can go back and resume it at any time. So that's needs to be done by next Tuesday. Last thing. And I will post these by Wednesday night, by tomorrow night. I'm gonna post in Canvas, and I will always, anytime I post anything, I send it with as part of an email in Canvas, and then I post things in Canvas. In the announcement. The only thing you ever have to worry about on Canvas from me is home and announcement. I do not use Canvas for grades. I do not use Canvas. You're not going to get grades on the Canvas. Okay. I use a different grading program. After every test, I will print out a grade, your overall grade with all the information. If you need your grade at any other time, just let me know. And I'll print out whatever your grade is at that time. Your grade is really only going to change every time we take a test. But if you need something early, at some point in between, just let me know. So here in the announcements, even if it is some kind of assignment, I'm going to point, an assignment in the announcement. It was like a take-home field or something. It would be here. But I will post as an email and in the announcements this. You're going to get the notes that we're going to cover. You're going to get a PDF of chapter 1's notes. So you don't, there's a lot of writing. You don't have to worry about trying to keep up and write everything down as quickly as I'm, saying it or going over it. A lot of writing, a lot of reading. So whether you print this out is up to you, or if you use it as a tablet and you're writing on the screen, that's up to you. But I'm going to give you, this one is 24 pages for chapter 1. And that's going to cover everything we do in chapter 1. It has sample problems, it's got examples, it's got all the definitions already, and we'll fill in the blanks as we go. But it's like an outline of what we're going to cover for each chapter. Courtesy of Mr. Fitzhoward. Next question. You'll get that by morning. One day down. What's 18 times 2? 36, so 35 more days to go. Oh, wait. Don't forget Thanksgiving. 34 more days to go. Because we're counting the days till summer. So summer, because you know what everybody's doing. Always counting how many days till Christmas. I used to teach with somebody who would count how many days until the next school year would begin. Yeah, it was a bit of a. My daughter hated fools. She had them for class. I have a son and a daughter. My son is a vet tech at Abbey Pet Hospital, and my daughter works for Disney as an HR. So we get to go to Disneyland anytime we want. For free. All right, you guys, I'll see you on Thursday.